All right, folks, it looks like we got a double header today. I somehow feel with all this coming so early in the morning that the news isn't over for the day. I just have a feeling, but we also got, in addition to Galactic Legend Ahsoka Tano's new Assault Battle style event, we got the kit reveal for Zuckuss, which we are expecting. This one's not as unexpected as the Assault Battle one. So I'm gonna go through the kit reveal real quick and tell you why Bossk is no longer in the lineup or projected lineup. We'll quickly go over the projected lineups now that we have a little bit more information since Forlom's release. And yeah, I mean I think it's a sleeper. I think it doesn't look all that exciting, but I think in practicality this is gonna be like a solid B, maybe close to A tier team. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So we got Zuckuss, a little insect man. No, he's force sensitive. We'll explain that a little bit more later because it's going to be a big part of his kit. So we got Zuckuss, dark side alignment, tank, leader, bounty hunter, scoundrel, unaligned force user. We're already taking away Bossk here with the whole tank and the lead, obviously. But let's go ahead and get into the rest of it. Key attributes: performs best as leader, providing survivability to himself and allies. Has different interactions with foresight when it's on allies or on enemies. Synergizes with Forlom, obviously, and Darkside bounty hunters. Inspiration and lore: Zuckuss is a Gand Findsman. Findsmen are force-sensitive individuals who have inherent tracking abilities and foresight. This inspired us to use the foresight buff in creative ways. Zuckuss and Forlom have always been seen as a duo since their first appearance in Empire Strike Back, leading us to have many direct callouts to the ruthless droid bounty hunter in Zuckuss's kit, and vice versa. Strategy tips: Zuckuss' contract can be completed by damaging enemies while allies are buffed with foresight. Use Zuckuss' special ability, Augury of Protection, when you have multiple consecutive turns after using this ability to ensure quick contract completion and mass assist. Watch out for enemy teams with multiple AoE damaging abilities. Make sure to use Zuckuss' special ability, Augury of Protection, after the AoE abilities are used. So, they're recommending speed and tenacity, which makes sense for a tank. He's going to be unlocked on next Tuesday, November 4th at 11 p.m. in a Marquee event. And you're only going to need Zuckuss, essentially, for the event, and you just have to have Forlom unlocked, no particular level, unless you're doing the last tier of the Marquee, which requires both at Relic 5. So, basic ability: Foreseen Strike. Physical damage to target enemy, recover 10% protection. Not bad. And if Zuckuss had Foresight, attack again. So, multiple attacks that'll be important for later. Special 1, Ensnaring Shot. Deal physical damage, stun, and inflict accuracy down on target enemy for 2 turns, which can't be evaded. This is that stun and accuracy down that we want both of for Forlom's kit. He does different things when the enemy is stunned and inflicted with accuracy down. So, if target enemy was already stunned, Zuckuss gains protection up for 2 turns, and target enemy loses 15% turn meter. They don't have the cooldowns on here, so we don't quite know how often we're going to get to use this, but this is a reason why we want other stuns in the team, which is going to come to figuring out who to put on the team. Cad Bane's value is going up. I think Aura Singh's value is going up on this team because of that. So extra protection up, and they lose 15% turn meter. Then we got Augury of Protection as the second special. This is the big ability they keep touting us to use. Right? Zuckuss dispels all debuffs on himself, taunts for 2 turns, and bounty hunter allies gain foresight for 2 turns. Zuckuss gains 2 stacks of force connection for 3 turns, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. And then he recovers 30% protection. This is essentially the same taunt with a little bit difference because of the whole frenzy that Bossk uses. So he's slotting into that position pretty nicely and kind of doing a similar thing. And then we got the leader ability, which is pretty simple, all things considered. Bounty hunters allies have 80% max protection, so very protection focused team. It's going to make them pretty durable and tanky, which is helpful for a lot of these bounty hunters that are not really that tanky and they kind of die pretty quickly. Whenever a debuffed enemy ends their turn, bounty hunter allies recover 10% protection. So now they're just gonna be, as the enemy takes turns, you're just gonna naturally recover for your team. It's doubled for Zuckuss. And then whenever an enemy with foresight evades, he gains 10% turn meter, and other bounty hunters gain 5% turn meter. So you're going to get a little bit of help whenever they're just missing all their shots because of the foresight on the enemy team. Can't think off the top of my head which teams really focus on foresight, but I would imagine this is going to help counter those teams. So while Zuckuss is the only tank ally, this is why Bossk is no longer in the lineup. They didn't want you using Bossk, which is kind of a nice thing because that means Bossk is free to be used with Mando and Grief and his very limited niche use of taking down characters that don't die normally, and you have to use an annihilation type ability or the Amban rifle. So while Zuckuss is the only tank, whenever a dark side bounty hunter ally with foresight, all these caveats, uses a special ability, all other dark side bounty hunter allies with foresight assist. So that's why you don't want to use certain things after the AoEs. You want to try to make sure that you have the foresight. The AoEs would obviously dispel foresight on everybody, and then you're not having any assists with everybody. So when Zuckuss is in the leader slot and not the ally slot, the following contract is active. While buffed with foresight, deal damage with an attack enemy 20 times. This is why you want other people that call to assist, hopefully, so you can get him to assist and then do more damage, and then he helps you out with it with his own leadership ability. The reward: all bounty hunter allies have their payouts activated. All bounty hunter allies gain 25 speed, 30% offense, and non-tank bounty hunter allies stealth for 3 turns. Similar to what Bossk grants, so that's the speed and then even more offense that bounty hunters can use. So the unique: if all allies are bounty hunters at the start of the battle, at the start of each encounter, taunt for 2 turns. Pre-taunt, it's kind of standard for tanks these days, unless they're doing something weird like Leia Organa. Zuckuss has 50% defense. Whenever a bounty hunter ally with foresight evades, Zuckuss gains 10% turn meter and 2 stacks of force connection, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. While Zuckuss has force connection, he has a 50% defense, plus 50% defense, and recovers 50% protection at the start of his turn. He's just an all-around better tank than Bossk. That's what this is really showing. At the start of the battle, if Forlom is an ally, Zuckuss gains 30% potency and tenacity. And then while in territory wars, so they were going to assume this is where the Omicron is. They didn't put what the abilities here. I'm going to assume the leadership's probably a Zeta too. Hard to tell though. And then, so it's a territory war Omicron. Zuckuss gains 100% max protection until the first time he's defeated. And bounty hunters resolve if all allies are non-galactic legend bounty hunters at the start of battle. Whenever taunt is dispelled, Zuckuss taunts for 1 turn. And then whenever bounty hunter allies are inflicted with daze, they dispel it and gain speed up for 2 turns. So this isn't like a great, this is not a fantastic Omicron. I don't see many people applying this, but those people that really just want things, I don't know. This is pretty lame for a Omicron, personally. Then we get to Zuckuss's payout. Whenever Zuckuss receives reward from contract, gains the following payout: taunt for 2 turns, which can't be dispelled, and all bounty hunter allies gain foresight for 2 turns and 15% turn meter. Then Zuckuss gains 200% critical avoidance until the end of the battle. He's gonna be tanky. He's gonna be very tanky, and he's gonna be taking a lot of turns, gaining a lot of protection, and hopefully he's speeding up the rest of the team. So that's what is going to affect our decisions, I think, on who we put on the team. So with that being said, let's go ahead and go over to the game and look at what I think the squad is probably going to be. So Bossk is a placeholder for Zuckuss, because Bossk is clearly not on the team because he is a tank, and Zuckuss works best when there's no other tank on the team. So Forlom is a given, and then we have some running up slots. I'm gonna go ahead and just look at the bounty hunters to give you an idea of what. No, this is the bad. It's the bad view. So I think it's gonna be Oracing, Cad Bane, and Zam, because in GAC that's kind of what we care about at the moment. And GAC is gonna be speed boosting the team when you go into territory war, if you happen to use it. I don't know if you will with that weak sauce territory war Omicron. Then something like Dengar might be on the table. So let's go ahead and look at the dark side bounty hunter characters just to give us an idea of what our real options are. I don't think they're trying to break up any teams with this. So Forlom's a given. We're gonna say this is using the place of Zuckuss. And then Django still doesn't fit. Boba doesn't fit. Chrysanthemum's taken, obviously. Zam, again, with that GAC Omicron, which I don't have applied, which I might apply now. Zam instead gains 60% increases to offense max health protection. Zam gains 5% speed for each other bounty hunter ally. Other bounty hunter allies gain 20% of Zam's current offense max health max protection and speed until the first time she's defeated. I wonder the order of operations with this, because they're going to gain additional max protection. And if you remember right, Zuckuss's lead is giving 80% max protection. I don't know the order of operations there, but this would seem to be a big reason why Zam would be on the team, in addition to just speeding things up, because you're going to speed up everybody, going to make it more quick, more foresight, more assists, all the stuff. So yeah, I think she's probably a given, especially because she's like one of the only GAC Omicrons. Then you have Fennec, which doesn't really work. Greedo, he attacks a lot, but that's not a big deal, honestly. I mean, it's kind of random. You can't really control it, because he has to wait. No, can't remember. I think it's on his unique then. Have 15% critical chance and a 50% chance to attack again whenever he scores a critical hit. So he can attack a lot, and that, I don't really know what that would do though, because I think Zuckuss's leadership, or the contract, is he deals damage with an attack 20 times, not the team. Unlike Forlom, who just cares about everybody attacking and doing damage to debuffed enemies. So I don't think Greedo is going to be on the team. Then we look at the other ones that we have. Aura Singh, who just got a little bit of a buff now. When we look at her special, deal physical damage to target enemy if target's toppled 200 more damage, and this ability's cooldown is reset. If all allies were non-galactic legend bounty hunters, which is a clause that we see in both Forlom and Zuckuss's kit, this attack deals 200% more damage to the stun targets, and this ability's cooldown is reset. So we want to stun people. This makes sense to go ahead and put with her. She's going to reset her cooldowns and do more damage. I mean, that's basically what you want, right? So I think she's kind of a given on the team since they buffed her for that. And I mean, again, what are other options? It's just not like anybody else is doing better than her for that. I think IG88 might have some use still, just because of the healing immunity, but now I think it's probably less so. I just don't think there's kind of room for me. I don't think he's providing enough to the team to really do any of that, and we don't have a whole lot of target locking. You probably have some niche use for IG88 on a droid team rather than here. It's probably still with Afra rather than this team. Embo, I think, does do foresight. Let me see. Buff dispel is kind of good. Target enemies attack deals more damage. Equal to 35% of Embo's max protection, then Embo loses 50% protection. So this could be a factor. This could be a good factor because we're boosting his max protection quite a bit. Then as a result, we're going to go ahead and do a ton more damage with that. Let's go ahead and look at the unique real quick. Can't be critically hit while Embo has protection. He gains 30% offense. While he has no protection, he gains 30% crit chance. Receives damage from an enemy's attack. If he has no protection, he gains foresight for 2 turns. I think this is a really niche kind of acquisition of foresight, and I don't think it's going to be what you want to do most of the time. He's going to be getting foresight from other ways, or at least any of the bounty hunters on there are going to be getting foresight other ways. So I don't think it's necessarily useful to do that. And then he ignores his attacks ignore protection when he has his payout active. So I don't know. I don't think Embo has a slot here, and I think he's probably going to be used more in Jabba, especially in TW and stuff. So I'm gonna take him off the list. And then Cad Bane obviously brings a lot of what we want with the stun and recovering cooldowns. So I mean, and then he does accuracy down on debuff, which is going to help Forlom. Yeah, I think this is just giving Cad Bane a place, honestly. And he's going to attack again too, so it does other things like that. And then Dengar would be our kind of last and final option. He does have the ability to stun on his special. If the target had 50% turn meter or more, they are also stunned for 1 turn. I don't know how much we're going to be removing turn meter because of Zuckuss's kit, so he could find less use because we're removing turn meter, which means the stun has less chance of landing. So that could be a factor. in whether or not Dengar is reliable on the stun usage. And Dengar already finds places weirdly sometimes, maybe on Bossk still. It really seems like they're not trying to break up teams, and Cad Bane, Orasing, and Zam Wessel are kind of free agents. I mean, Zam goes under Bossk sometimes, but I mean, really, you're just using it as a cleanup with Mandalorian and Grief more than anything. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the bounty hunters. I think the final squad is going to be this in JC, and then if we see something in Territory War, we might sub out Zam. But other than that, that's what I think you're going to look at. And yeah, I don't know how many people are excited for this. I think the reactions are pretty mundane. I personally wasn't looking forward to Forlom and Zuckuss. I'm kind of okay with it now, mostly because I'm going for the air battle and I have no choice but get them, so I might as well be excited for them. And I'm more excited for the rewards than anything. But I mean, new life to teams is what we want, right? So lifting up these old characters that don't get much use could be nice. But time will tell whether or not he actually provides a counter to anything. So that's what I got for you. If you got usefulness out of this video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want more content like this, and hit the notification bell so you know when it all goes live. I'll see you next time. Bye.